Welcome to The Advocates. I'm Aaron Dean. President Biden is now canceling $9 billion in student loan debt. Now, he's taking action after the Supreme Court ruled against his original plan to cancel up to $400 billion in student loans. Now, the announcement comes as millions of Americans are resuming payments following the 3-year pause. The White House says that it is conducting fixes to what it's called a broken student loan system. After an audit, it was able to use existing debt relief programs to help 125,000 borrowers.
When I ran for president, I vowed to fix our broken student loan program. Because while a college degree is still the ticket to a better life, that ticket has become excessively expensive. Americans who are saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for a college degree has become the norm. Since my administration has taken significant action to provide student debt relief to as many borrowers as possible, as quickly as possible. That starts with making sure the existing system works.
Biden says his original student loan plan would have benefited over 43 million Americans. Tennessee has officially installed its first trans-elected official, and she's ready to get to work. Olivia Hill was sworn into her seat on the Nashville Metro Council. Hill was elected as an at-large member, which gives women a majority of seats on the council, which is another first for Nashville. Hill says being able to live her truth and serve her community is her greatest accomplishment.
I tell people a lot of times that, imagine what your greatest wish is, and whether that be to Miss America or a billionaire or whatever, and imagine what your greatest wish, and then imagine how you would feel if you woke up tomorrow and your wish came true. And that's what it's like for most trans people once they get to a point where they transition, because you finally get to be your true, authentic self, and there's really not much that could ever match with that.
Hill also says that she is ready and committed to stand up for LGBTQ+ Tennesseans. Provincetown is known for its history as a haven for the queer community. It's where the Pilgrims actually first landed before settling in Plymouth, and today it's where people of all walks of life gather and thrive. This year, the multi-talented John Cameron Mitchell is hosting the Washashore Festival at the Crown and Anchor with headliner Jake Wesley Rogers. Well, both of you will be in Provincetown for the Washashore Festival. As we know, P-Town is a haven for the queer community. And I wanted to begin by asking, whoever wants to answer, what does it mean to participate in an event by and for the community?
Well, I'll start a little bit because Jake hasn't been there before, but when you're in New York, there's certain gay havens, Fire Island, Provincetown. There's other places in Delaware and Maine, but I found that Provincetown was the place for me because it's got this history. It was where the Pilgrims first hit land when they were coming from Britain, and they were like, nah, and they moved on to Plymouth. But it became a kind of, I think their nah was a little bit because it was more welcoming to the oddballs. And Cape Cod is like this kind of fallopian tube, and Provincetown's right here. So it's kind of like an egg in the fallopian tube that's never been fertilized because it's two gays. And so it became the place where people like Tennessee Williams, all the weirdos and artists and the kind of New Yorkers artists would all go up there to paint and write and hang out and have sex, and it was beautiful, and continues to be a queer hangout with different theme weeks to make a queer music festival, to bring back the kind of alternative feeling of P-Town. In the summer, it's still a queer magnet for hanging out, and there's a lot of drag queens doing shows, like pretty much every damn RuPaul girl is there. So we're kind of the alternative to that in October. And I hooked up Jake, who I knew from LA and New Orleans. Jake was sang at my birthday, my 60th birthday, in my house. I have a ballroom in my house, which I can't afford now because of the strike. And so I hooked them up, and Jake is the headliner for Sunday night.
That's right. Jake, you will be performing. So you'll actually not only be performing for the crowd there, but you're actually going to be visiting P-Town for the first time. So I'm sure you're doubly excited, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think John and I are kind of coming at it from opposite ends. I've never been there. I don't know any of the history. I love this history lesson, by the way. I hope to learn even more this weekend. And yeah, John was very, very, very kind to um, set me up to perform at this festival, and yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I think it's always special when it's kind of for the community. I mean, I think
Yes.
music music's for all, for the general, but I think sometimes it's special to zoom into the particular and kind of
Yeah, to play for your crowd, you know.
yeah. So I mean, I know it's gonna be beautiful and very special.
And John, like you said, you're hosting the festival, and with your role, how do you believe like events like Washashore, this festival, how does it play in advancing the LGBTQ, community and culture and visibility in general?
I hope that it will besmirch our name. I hope that it's a black mark in the history of queer. No, it's like we have a feeling of, there's a feeling of sometimes we feel like we need to represent, we need visibility, and that's all important. But then there's also the time where you just hang out with your people. You know what I mean? Whether you're a radical fairy and you're hanging out in a commune, whether you're, a punk rocker hanging out in that vibe, it's like we have our little, I don't even call them safe spaces because that feels like we're scared, but we're not. It's a place where you can make your magic.
Hmm.
The radical fairies were invented by Harry Hay, who started the
Hmm.
Mattachine Society, which was the first queer rights group in America. And he said radical fairies are people hanging out in their little communes to make their magic, and then what they learn and what their relaxation and their art and their politics and their way of dealing with nature, bring it to the bigger world. Don't just hide out and
Hmm.
separatize yourself,
Mm.
but
Hmm.
make your magic and then spread it.
Jake, I have to ask, you've performed across the country. You've performed all different kinds of groups. Now you're performing again, once again for your community. How are you preparing for this performance compared to others?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Ooh, what am I doing? What
Yeah.
tricks am
Is
I
your
pulling
ass going to
out?
be hanging out at some chaps or something?
I
I know
was
you
really,
got some
I do have those.
white
No,
leather, I'm sure.
how am I I'm bringing my whole band, which I
Ooh,
just love so much.
they're a great band.
I think it's all of our first times
Oh,
in P-Town. So, um, I might have some new songs to
ooh,
play.
all
I
right.
think I think that might be the fun new part.
You both have been very active when it comes to advocating for the community. How does an event like this kind of show the track record of the resilience of LGBTQ plus people?
Well, it's what we do, right?
We survive and then we thrive in adversity, and we don't want adversity. I grew up with AIDS. It's like nobody asked for that. And certainly the government let us die. But
Mhm.
what came out of it was an incredible queer rights, directly out of AIDS, a credible queer rights momentum. And certainly creatively, there was a massive amount of stuff that reacted to AIDS and to our abandonment by our powers that be. And now we're in a strange time where we didn't think uh, we'd have to fight the same battles again in terms of acceptance, rights, and just letting us be.
Thanks for watching The Advocates. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can even subscribe to our YouTube channel. For The Advocate channel, I'm Aaron Dean.